Hi, I'm Mark Patterson, University Ombuds for Cal State University Channel Islands. Thanks for joining in on the inaugural edition of Channel Our Potential, a series of interviews I'll be conducting of various folks who work at CSU Channel Islands and serve in different capacities, but have unique qualities that help bridge gaps. And at the conclusion of every interview, I'll ask the question, what does it mean to you to channel our potential at CSU Channel Islands? So with that, our first interviewee will be Michelle Hasendonckx, who works in the Academic Affairs Division in Student and Academic Success and Equity Initiatives. Michelle has over 12 years of experience in higher education and federal grant administration. She comes from an illustrious background. First and foremost, she is a Ventura County native and has returned to work here after receiving her Doctor of Education from CSU Channel Islands and Fresno State University, a Master's of Education from Loyola Marymount University, and a BA, Bachelor's of Arts, from Evergreen State College. She, at Channel Islands, helps create and manage initiatives focused on equity and academic student success, and particularly focused on federally funded Hispanic serving institution capacity building grants. She works across campus with faculty, peer mentors, staff, and administrators to support students in academic success. With that, let's go to the interview. Kind of talk a little bit about how you and I actually got started together, and that I was working on the Courageous Conversations initiative that has been part of Inclusive Excellence Advisory Committee for the President, and we're seeking facilitators. And you came in as a volunteer facilitator, and you basically had this stuff down. I mean, you were totally on top of how to facilitate and get people to work together in difficult conversations. So I thought, tell us how you got interested in that. What kind of got you interested in helping people connect, and why facilitation is a way to do that?
Sure. I love facilitation. I'll say first, I love bringing people together. I love kind of seeing what happens when you bring a group of people together and ideas kind of form, and you let folks bring out their best thinking and best ideas. I've gone through some formal facilitation training, but then I've also just been part of many different projects where facilitation was just needed. We train our peer mentors in some of these facilitation techniques and methods. And so it's just been something that I've come to love, because I think as a facilitator, you really do have the opportunity to build a space, or to curate kind of a space where it's inclusive, where you make room for everyone to contribute. And the goal is, I mean, as a facilitator, you never quite know what you're going to end up with. And I love being in those environments where it's all really dependent on, everyone who's right there. And as a facilitator, you just kind of have to think quickly and help the group move forward. But really, it's the group that does that kind of work. And so it's fun, I think, for me to be part of.
I like how you noted, these particular situations where you don't know what's going to happen, that actually makes it energetic and makes it interesting. But it's also a certain amount of vulnerability too. If you're looking to help move a group forward with a difficult topic, not knowing where it's got to go, it's got to be a certain level of, I don't know, anxiety, but how do you deal with that when you don't really know going into it how it's going to go?
Yeah, well, I think as a facilitator, you have to model for folks that vulnerability and be brave in those spaces. And sometimes you don't always know what to say, or you don't know how to act. But I think the naming what's happening, naming how folks are feeling, naming even just the awkwardness sometimes of coming together and wrestling with some ideas, just that in itself is so contrary to what we're programmed to do. And I think it really just brings some humanity to, what might be an awkward or uncomfortable situation, but just brings people together. And I truly believe that when you do have people come together, something better and greater is always going to come out of it.
Almost sounds like the part about, we noted before how we got started with the inclusive excellence thing, but a diversity aspect too, that if you're really building diversity, you're also building in a certain amount of differences of opinion and different outlooks. And somebody who is skillfully facilitating is helping meld and merge those things, even if it may be a little bumpy on the way. Is that sort of catching the idea as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you almost need some of those bumps. You need to. There's a mentor and a trainer who I've had the privilege to work with who always talks about mining for conflict. I mean, if you
Hmm.
walk into a space or in a meeting and everything is just perfectly fine and normal, well, that doesn't really allow for much growth. That doesn't really allow for any kind of flexibility. And so you have to mine for those tensions, and not in a bad way, not to stir up or create any more anxieties, but to be okay with wrestling things. And that's when I really think you get folks best thinking, you get better trust within a group, and ultimately I think you meet your goals, whatever it is of that meeting space, or whatever the plan or agenda is. You tend to move forward once people are comfortable, they're willing to trust one another and share whatever their thoughts are.
That is a powerful phrase, mining for conflict. It
Mhm.
sounds scary, but it's different than just agitating or stirring up conflict. Mining for
Exactly.
conflict is skillfully digging in a way that
Mhm.
protects as you put a tunnel in place. I mean, I could really see that
Mhm.
analogy going. Have you seen, Michelle, in your work, even beyond working, as we said before, the Inclusive Excellence Committee or working with peer mentors, in your own work as a leader, how have your connection or facilitation skills played out in that environment?
I think definitely there's, any opportunities there are to volunteer on campus to facilitate. I've stepped up to do that. Certainly within my own department, I've been able to serve as a facilitator in various capacities. A really exciting project I've been part of for the last few years was brought to our campus by Dr. Kaya Tollefson, the Critical Learning Collective. And through support of one of our Title V HSI grants, we were able to support that for faculty, staff, and even administrators to be part of. And so I'm really excited that this year I get to serve as a co-facilitator and kind of learn some of the planning behind the scenes to help a group who will meet for about a year's worth of time, continually, and work on dilemmas of professional work. Issues that come up in the workplace, and even just issues of leadership, and get to be with this group, build community with this group, and through the wisdom of the group, get to help facilitate different solutions to all kinds of different dilemmas and potential issues that come up in our work.
Let me ask you also if there's anything, because some of that's going to be confidential, but if you've seen any examples on campus of maybe more broadly how this ability to kind of connect people even through difficult situations that you might be
Mhm.
mining for conflict, how has that affected or impacted our campus?
Well, I mean, I think that our campus has faced a lot of issues over, I mean, I'm sure over many years, but just more recently, a lot of issues where people have wanted to show up, wanted to speak out, wanted to, just speak with one another about how much we care about our campus community. And so with courageous conversations, with town halls, I mean, even in this pandemic world right now, so many folks have been signing up to be part of the conversation around what is fall going to look like, how do we come together as a community to have the most successful experience for our students. And so I think that that has not changed in terms of CI and the folks that we get the privilege to work with. I think I'm never surprised when folks show up to these meetings and want to contribute, because I think that's a part of what makes up the CI population and part of what makes us special.
I like that. I think you kind of hinged upon something that's important, that the CI population are people who want to show up and want to engage, even on tough things like how do we manage the pandemic crisis when our next year's school year starts. And now with this last week of just terrible events with regard to the George Floyd killing and the impact across the whole country. I imagine there'll be many more opportunities for that sort of connection and difficult dialogues,
Mhm.
even mining for conflict in those tough topics. Uh,
Absolutely, we need it.
yeah.
That's what humanizes us, to have that human connection, to be with one another, to be, in joyful times and tearful times. I think that togetherness, that fellowship is the glue that holds us together.
Yeah, well said. I always want to finish up with one question. Again, hearkening back to the theme of this series, and that is channeling our potential. So let me ask you, Michelle, what does it mean to you for you to be a member of Channel Islands community to channel our potential?
Mhm. Well, you know, I love that phrase, you know, channeling our potential. It for me it resonates with this is a collective responsibility, and you know, we each do our individual parts on campus, and we're each part of our individual departments or areas, but we can't forget that all of our work is bound, you know, we are all bound to one another. And so your success is my success, our students' success is our success, and I think we owe it to our students to serve the mission of the university and to work collectively, collaboratively for the betterment of our community. And I think, you know, we all know one of the greatest tools for social mobility is a college education. And so we have to continue this work in order to ensure a more equitable and just future here at home, in the world. We know that's more important now than ever before. And coming together, that coming togetherness of our campus community, that's how we channel our potential. And that's, I think, how we best serve our students.
Wonderful, beautiful, coming together as a community. Thank you very much, Michelle, and I will look forward to interacting with you more in the future.
Sure thing. I love being part of this campus community and love to hear other stories of folks channeling our potential together.